Yes. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cast Revive. And that was a corny opening because this is a corny horror game. And that's that's what our top 5 is for this week, is horror games. And we thank our friend on the page, Brian, who actually gave us this suggestion to do. So
thank you, Brian.
This episode is for you, good sir. And everybody else has any suggestions, please head to our Facebook page. As you can see, we want to do these episodes based on your suggestions, so you guys can help lead and see your interest come to fruition. So very exciting, very exciting.
Very.
So horror games, me, giant wuss of all time. I am not afraid to say that because I have to play with one eye opened. And I honestly don't know if I ever actually completed a horror game.
Not one, not even like Resident Evil.
No, definitely not Resident Evil. No, when I played Resident Evil 1, as soon as that dog jumped through the window in the beginning, that was the end for me. I said, no. So I could watch people play it, but I actually could never actually sit and play it myself because I was always going so slow and people would just be so bored. It would take me 40 hours to get through one room. Like, is somebody going to jump out at me?
Or worse yet, you're going to open the door to the next room. You're like, oh my God, is something right behind it? Because there is going to be something.
Especially
right
in Resident Evil, when you had those slow loading time with stretching the door opening. I was like, there's going to be something right there, and I will literally crap my pants.
It keeps you held in suspense. Like, okay, we're good.
So to kind of keep the mood light, that was Ghostbusters for NES because anybody hadn't played that. Terrifying game. Not just because of it being Ghostbusters, because it's just
terrifyingly bad.
It's just terrifyingly bad. Yes, but check it out anyway.
It was bad on the NES, but it was actually pretty decent for the Genesis.
And then the new one they made for the PS3 or whatever
is amazing.
That one's really cool. Yes, that is actually a really cool game.
And it's actually a true sequel to the games.
Really?
Yeah, they go back to the Sedgwick hotel, and they make a lot of references back to the original movie. And what was great about that game is all the actors came back and redid their own voices.
Oh, nice.
So it was really cool.
The one part about that movie that always freaked me out was when the ghosts were released and they were flying through the city. The music that played, that part always freaked me out.
That music is called Magic, by the way. And that song, yeah, exactly. That song is like a love ballad until about halfway through, and it turns into that music. And you're like, did the song change? No, this is the same song. How did this even happen?
God bless it. And that is the power of music. And that's the power of love. Yeah, see what I did there? That's for all you Back to the Future fans.
I am one.
Yeah, you're the only one.
What?
Face. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the list. We're going to go ahead and start with mine. This game is for PC, and I will not share the name of it until afterwards. Also, since these are horror games, and a lot of them are ambiance and stuff like that, they're not like pulsing themes. We'll let them play for a little bit longer to kind of give you a little bit of a creepy feel. So hopefully you're listening to it at night with the lights out, with like a bag of chips and a little glass of water, and you can kind of get
with a single candle.
Yes. You got to have the window open. Got to have the candle flickering, the flame flickering a little bit. Got to get the full effect going on.
And the curtains flowing just a little bit to make. Is there something there?
See that? No. See that? We know how to make the mood right. So anyway, here we go, guys. That is Skin of Our Teeth from the original Left 4 Dead. Have you played that on PC?
I have not played it on PC. I played it on the 360, the Xbox 360.
Game is awesome. Awesome. Basically, you take place of one of 4 survivors, and there's multiple chapters. We have to get to an extraction point at the end, and this is the music that plays at the actual extraction point when you're trying to race to it to fight off the remaining horde that's coming at you. And it's It is such a terrifying game. The second one creeped it up a lot more, but the first one, man, you couldn't.
One word, witches.
Oh my god, dude! Just a.
Yeah, and you're just like, yep, nope, let her die. I don't care. I'm not going anywhere near that.
The first time I did that, I lost it. I was just like, oh, there's a little girl or a woman describing it. I was like, okay, maybe this is like a side objective. Then just, wah! And just started chasing me. I was like, fuck, kill it with fire. Kill it with fire.
As you're backpedaling.
Yeah. I just throw the keyboard against the wall and run outside into the street screaming.
It's a good thing, like, your character on screen can't, like, trip over its own feet as he's running backwards. Like, all you see is her, then you see sky, and then everything converging on you.
You never have that in horror games where, like, unless it's a cutscene, if you're a character and you turn around real quick to start running, like, you never actually trip over yourself.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool. Like,
and
if your reactions in the game alter how your person moves.
Then, like, every horror movie ever, you can try to crawl away.
Yeah.
Like, that helps or something. You know, and
nice
then...
and slow.
And then you have to have like sex in a cabin somewhere, and then something would come in and kill you at that point.
Yeah,
because that happens in every movie ever.
Yeah, I like it. Death and sex. Something about that just goes hand in hand. Creepy.
Okay, moving on.
So Left 4 Dead. They only have the problem that I had with Left 4 Dead series before we move on is they made the second game way too quick. They should have made the second game an add-on to the original. I felt because I think it came out within like not even a year or so after the original, and people were like, "Really? Already another one?" The first one, there's still so much to do. People were still having fun with it.
Well, I can understand their reasonings for doing it because it still kind of is, but with the markets the way they are, you never know what's going to be popular.
Right.
So if you have a hit with something that's like zombies, next year zombies may not be popular. Mm-hmm. So if you got a hit, you need to milk that hit for everything you got, and then if it's still around, great. But, the zombie craze is still around, but they haven't made another Left 4 Dead.
No, they haven't. I would love it if they made a Left 4 Dead 3. I mean, it was. I thought it was a very popular game. You had like multiplayer where you could play as the actual, boomer, and
Yep.
or play as the actual survivors. And I thought that was really cool.
I personally could not stand the multiplayer because for some people it's great, but man, in there with a bunch of You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking. The co-op was definitely the way to go for me, but I thought it was neat that they let you play, especially when you got the tank or whatever, and you're just running down the hall.
Agreed.
It's the Hulk, but he's 10.
Now, I've never actually played through both of those. I have played a little bit of Left 4 Dead. I have not. I own it, but I have not cracked it open yet. Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, I've beaten the first one. I have not beaten the second one. But the second,
get on that,
huh? I do need to get on that.
Yeah.
Well, I have it on PC. I wish they would make it for like Xbox One or PS4 and like bring it back. I'd love to play them on console. I know they have it for 360, but I don't have a 360. Although now that it's backwards compatible, the Xbox One, I might be able to Scooby Doo it a little bit in the old Xbox One.
We can test that and see if it happens.
I like it. Testing is key.
We'll make that happen.
Know what else I'm going to make happen?
What's that?
I'm going to make happen your pick. Your number 5.
My number 5.
Do. Here we go.
Just awesome music.
That is really cool music.
My number 5 is the original Alone in the Dark, and this song is called Crying New York.
Alone in the Dark.
For a lot of people, this was actually out on the PC for a long time. And for a lot of people, the Alone in the Dark series was their first horror/thriller type game. It's I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the later series because they took something that they had and they kind of embellished it a little bit at a time for each, one actual game that they released, and it seems to have gotten better and better. There really isn't a time when they've gone backwards in an idea. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And I think that's fantastic. I wish they would have done a lot more Alone in the Dark. It's Alone in the Dark, for those who haven't played it, it's a lot of the same old, same old. It's kind of hard to be original. But this one is the original, per se, because it was out before anybody else, where you are like a detective and you get involved with the occult and stuff like that. And I just thought it was fantastic.
That's cool. That's cool. Do they have not made another a 2 or
they
a sequel
have
or anything?
2, 3, 4. I want to say they have 5.
Oh, well, there you go.
I think they have 5 out now, and they're Alone in the Dark, and there's 1, 2, and 3, and then they do like Alone in the Dark, blah 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 blah. Such a name, so it's not technically 4, but it is. So you know what I mean? So that's kind of all over the place.
Just so you know, I will be asking a lot of questions because my horror depth is about as high as an ant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this game right here is actually my least knowledgeable series. I just love the music for this game.
No, that was really cool. That was really cool. I like when it's more than just like crashes or just like rumbles going on in the background.
Well, when you have that haunted, that chanting, that almost anything with children is scary as hell. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You could take any game, you put something happened to a child in it, and they're after you, and it's instantly the scariest thing ever.
Come play with us, Danny.
Yeah.
Should have made a Shining the game.
With you being the dad.
I could do that. Here's Maddie.
And you'd have like a sanity meter. And speaking of something like that, as you lose sanity, you start to want to kill your own family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that ties into one of my top 5 picks that we'll get to a little later.
I like that.
We'll get to a little later.
See, we tie everything in together. We don't just ramble aimlessly. We actually have a point to this.
And we'll continue our little tour.
Let's go ahead and Scooby it onto my number 4.
You want to talk about setting a tone. This game is absolutely amazing.
This is Castlevania Lords of Shadow, the Cornell theme. And you are absolutely right. This game, I was very skeptical when it came out, but it absolutely blew me away. And I actually watched you play through it.
The graphics of this game captured what Castlevania is really like. The gothic, the deep. Oh man, like things could be in literally any dark shadow.
Yeah.
And this game, for those who haven't played it, Lords of Shadow, give it a shot. It is hard. It is a hard game. But oh my God, the epilogue was the biggest twist of any game I think personally I have ever played. And it made me reimagine my entire Castlevania history.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, I stood and applauded to nobody, but I was happy. I was happy for the developers at Konami doing what they did.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
And
it tied everything
and
together.
It actually does.
Yeah.
It actually, you're not like, okay, they're just pulling stuff out of left field and they're going to run. No, that makes sense. Then, oh my God, this
I can't
neurons
believe you did that.
start connecting.
You did that. Yeah.
And you're like, that all makes sense.
It's a beautiful game. It really.
I walked outside and there was rainbows and birds chirping. It's like my whole life.
There were
now
squirrels applauding you and
there were
handing you flowers. Just like, are you Steve? You just beat Castlevania Lords of Shadow. He's like, well, yes, I did.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then people you're not left alone anymore. You're a local celebrity in this neighborhood.
Now, I do have Lords of Shadow 2. And that picks up where the first one truly... actually, it picks up where it left off, but there's actually a game they released. It was a Castlevania Lords of Shadow 4. It was the Mirror of Fate. and it was for the 3DS, and they did make a port for it for the PS3, and that actually does lie in between 1 and 2.
Right.
But yeah, oh my god, this game was. I could sit and play through this game again.
Yeah. It had multiple difficulties, right? Different modes.
Paladin mode was the hardest mode. That it's just easy was ridiculous. I mean, it's like the scale of difficulty on this game was. I can compare it to Ghosts and Goblins.
Ugh.
Yeah, so there you go.
Don't ever say that
and,
name again.
And everybody who has played Ghosts and Goblins just spit right now because they all know.
There's drinking us though. Just he didn't just drop that name, did he?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yes, love it. I could talk about this and the Castlevania franchise as a whole for forever. But if anybody wants us to talk about our top 5 Castlevania tracks, please put it on our Facebook page.
There's enough games, Castlevania games out there that we could have a top 10 each and still not duplicate each other's.
You could do a top 10 just from Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a big fan of Symphony of the Night, I know.
What?
I know everyone is cursing at me, but I'm standing my ground.
Matt, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
First, he hasn't played an Ocarina of Time, and then he's talking smack about Symphony of the Night. I don't know if I can be on the show.
What kind of gamer is this guy? He won't even play the best games out there. I play my games.
Well, somebody has to play the underground, unknown, independent games.
Yes.
So that they can have a voice too, even though nobody cares.
That's true.
I'll play the popular ones and be cool, but whatever.
Just put Matt in the corner to play 3D World Runner by himself. Everybody else can go ahead and play the real games.
Oh, we all know I'll be peeking in on that. So
yeah, I know. So let's scoot on to your number 4.
Number
here,
4.
Steve. I love that organ.
Thank you. Oh, that organ. Yes. Gotcha. No. That guy. Yes. This game was, to me, everybody says, thinks Silent Hill and things like that. I think this is the game that gave Resident Evil a run for its money. And this is Parasite Eve. And the song is called Kyrie.
Kyrie.
And for those who haven't played Parasite Eve, it's about like these creatures, these demons and things that can control the mitochondria in your cells. And they can cause them to burst into flame, which pretty much internally combusts you and you die.
Mitochondria or metachlorian? No, okay. I don't mean to derail you.
Do we need like a science exam up here? Get Bill Nye on the show. Let's get Bill Nye on the show.
Yes.
I'm down with that. But yes, Parasite Eve. It's another survival. For those who haven't played it, it's another survival horror. Pretty much, I know we have themed podcasts, but you can detect a theme in all of our music. It's all dark, gloomy, and ready to scare you. But it's Resident Evil. It's survival horror. It takes place more where Resident Evil was very centralized in the beginning. You had the manor. You have a small town. This took place in New York. And what was really cool about it at the time was that the places you can actually go and the story takes place are actual places in New York. And it's scaled as such. So, if you have to go to like Carnegie Hall to see a performance, which I believe this is where this is played in, you actually had to get there, and whether by taxi or whatever, or you had to go to Central Park just to have stuff happen. And I thought it was fantastic. They did make a sequel to this game. There is a Parasite Eve 2, which is actually very hard to find. And it wasn't as popular as Parasite Eve.
Right.
And at the time, Sony was kind of moving to the PS2, and so they rushed Parasite Eve 2 to get it out. It was a dual disc, and by the time that really kind of took off, they've already moved on to the 2. They never made anything for Parasite Eve after that.
Huh.
They did make a live-action movie, however.
Really?
Parasite Eve.
Nice.
Look it up.
Right now.
It's fantastic. It's actually a really good movie.
That stars Angelina Jolie, and she's like a treasure hunter, and she runs from boulders and has 2 guns, and she's shooting people in short shorts, right? What is this guy talking about?
You're going to lose your talking privileges.
I'm going to lose fans. We're just like, why is he talking? He's so annoying.
But true story, Parasite Eve movie. Check it out.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
Speaking of movies and movie-like games, let's move into my number 3. Don't hate me. Phantasmagoria for the PC.
Let's have a moment of silence for what the hell was that?
I had to throw this one in there because I grew up playing it, and it was so bad it was good. You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those games where they had like real live like actors like in the games walking. It was a point and click. You had to walk different areas, solve puzzles and stuff like that. And it was just weird. Like just all around weird.
Well, it was your first live action versus animated background.
Yeah.
So, you know, they went on and kind of, I dare say perfected, but they did more things like that where they had a double switch, they had Night Trap, and, you know, try to get the real live actors involved. And the story of this game was you played this woman who, her and her husband showed up at this house, and you find out that the house is haunted, and it's slowly driving the husband insane. And
he's becoming a real jerk too.
Yeah. And so she gets to see these powers or whatever to see into mirrors, and she sees how the guy who's haunted the place killed all his wives. And they're, especially for the time, well, even today, there are some very brutal deaths. Like one of them, his wife was heavy, and so like he like chained her down to the table and like put a spigot, like a spout thing, in her mouth, and like just kept filling it with just organs of animals and stuff, and made her eat it until she suffocated on it and died.
It was brutal.
Another one, she took a bottle through her eye. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. And like I said, they were all live actors, you know, so it wasn't like like a cheesy, like they made it look pretty good.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting is this game was done by Sierra.
Yes.
And they were really big on the PC scene. They made a lot of stuff that was very underground, things that, you know, they tried to shoot for the moon and they didn't quite make it there. But there were some decent games, and I was reading that this game, they actually allotted like $54,000 to make it, and it ended up making like, it cost them like $3 million or $4 million to finish it. And it ended up making, it is still Sierra's bestseller of all time.
They made a second one, didn't they?
They did, but they don't. It was said something like it was for a handheld.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't technically linked, but it is.
Right.
But they said they wanted to do more, but Sierra didn't pick it up. So.
But if you haven't checked it out, look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, there's a guy that I watch on Twitch, a gaming site. His name is Dan's Gaming. Every Halloween he does 30 days of horror games, and he goes through and I recently watched him play through Phantasmagoria again. It just took me back to my childhood. I was like, oh my god, I remember all of this. It's hilarious.
Why do I remember all of this?
Yeah, what this of all the games? It's like, you didn't play Ocarina of Time, but you played Phantasmagoria.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a PC guy mainly growing up. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah,
and I was an NES guy. So
yeah.
All right.
God bless it. Well, you're up, right? Aren't you?
I am.
Think so yeah. Oh, I like your number 3. before you say anything,
Not saying anything. Oh, crap. I just did.
this is the scariest game that I have ever seen. I played it over my buddy's house in the dark when he first got it with full surround sound, and I've never been the same. I sleep with like spotlights on in the room.
I would say, oh, come on, this game isn't that scary.
Yes,
but
it is.
Yes,
This
it
game
is.
Nuts.
Yes, it is. This is Dead Space. The Dead Space.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Except for Matt.
Oh yeah, trust me, they
Matt
heard me
screams.
scream. The neighbors had to call the cops. I thought a woman was being beaten.
I'm sorry, I was not prepared for that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm a wuss, but it's a fantastic game. I mean, the music, just everything, the combat, everything. It throws you right into this nastiness, and I love it.
Well, let me drop the name of the song. It's called Welcome Aboard the USG Ishimura.
Oh yeah.
Yes, this game is fantastic, and yes, it is very scary. You would think that Aliens is the scariest, but like Ghost in Space, that's even scarier.
It's nuts. It's his guy. The main character's name was it Isaac? Is that his name?
Yeah, I believe
Isaac?
so.
Yeah, it was so cool. I love that you had to try to shoot their limbs off and not just try to kill them outright. To slow them down, and just the factor of everything that they were throwing at you. Creatures jumping out of you left and right, and all the sounds. It's like the little creaks. I'm just like, no.
And then, there was certain parts in the game where like the ship was destroyed, and you're trying to like get through when you have zero gravity.
Yeah.
And stuff's going on. Now, this is, like I said, this is from the original Dead Space, but Dead Space, there's three of them.
Yeah.
I believe, and the second one has been voted one of the scariest games of all time.
Really?
Yeah, it's like in the top 3.
Well, then, if I think this one's the scariest, I haven't touched the other one because I know what this one did to me psychologically, so I won't go anywhere near it.
Well, then we'll go ahead and move on to your number 2 if you'd like. I don't need you to I don't have to talk you down off that ledge when we're done here.
Yeah, good point. Well, the problem is we're going from one game that made me crap my pants to another game, and this episode is destroying me mentally.
Well, to be fair,
yes,
you did start the podcast by saying that you are not a huge fan of horror games.
Well, let's put it this way: I love horror games. I love horror movies. I just can't handle them. Like I said, I like the Paranormal Activity movies. I like ghost movies. Like I have trouble watching them because they freak me out really bad. But I still like them. Yes, I know. Everybody's laughing at me and pointing. Look at that guy. He's such a loser.
No, it's just me.
Well, this loser's going to play music for you, so I still love you.
Okay.
I'm done. I can't even take it anymore.
Would you think me weird to tell you that I could actually fall asleep to that music?
That you're
that pounding heartbeat and just that bass line.
You're a horrible human being for
I could
saying
go to
that.
sleep to that.
This is Silent Hill 2. The track is The Darkness That Lurks in Our Mind. And I don't even know why I played this track. I probably will not be able to sleep tonight. That's no joke. Like
Silent Hill was a great series. 1, 2, and 3. 4.
4's The Room, right? Number 4 is The Room.
Yes.
Yeah.
But 2 was the best one of all of them.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
2 is 1 and 2 I finished. 3 I did not finish. But just the creatures that are in Silent Hill, like the nurses with the faces, and you're like, what the hell was somebody on?
Yeah.
When they designed these characters. Because you're like, what?
The thing that freaked me out the most about the first one is, now granted, I haven't played the rest of them. I have the soundtracks to them and everything like that. But the first one, you're walking down like a normal corridor and it's normal. And you enter a room and then it turns into like that decrepit mental institution. And just like, why would you do that? Like, Why can't
Why
you,
would
why
you do
can't,
that?
Why can't you just keep it with like kids with balloons running around and having fun? Like why would you take that away
Because
from me?
kids are creepy. We talked about this.
I can't handle it.
Silent Hill. There's been a lot. It's gained so many awards for that game that they tried to take something they had magic. They tried to run with it, and the more they're running with it, the worse the games are getting.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a Silent Hill out now. It's called Downpour.
Yes.
That I think like 4 people bought. I mean, it's like, how do you take this game that's like one of the best in the horror genre, and like now 4 people bought it? I mean, it's how do you do that? But it happened. But that's not to take away from the earlier games. And if you came into the series, in today, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You need to go back and play the original ones because that's where it was at.
Yeah.
A lot of puzzle solving, a lot of back and forth through, we'll call them quote unquote worlds.
Yeah.
That it just made that game fantastic.
I have to agree with that statement. Sorry, I'm looking at something here. Okay, got it. Cool. I don't want to talk about horror
Welcome
anymore.
back.
Yeah, I just really zoned. I just zoned out. Like I literally
this
my
is
mind.
too much
My mind
for
is
him.
literally like wandering off because I'm just like thinking of
Happy places.
Happy place. I'm playing my piano and there's people bringing me wings and popcorn. I'm just like yay, But instead you're creeping me out.
Well, this game that was my number 2 creeped me out. But this is actually one of my favorite series of all time.
Let's do it. Not literally.
What? Dino Crisis 2. The Dino Crisis series was some of my favorite. It is the Resident Evil, both made by Capcom, where we have Resident Evil, you had zombies.
Yeah.
In Dino Crisis, it was dinosaurs.
Dinosaur.
So imagine Jurassic Park, but in a Resident Evil survival type, very limited ammunition.
Creepy sounding.
Well, you'll be walking through areas, and all of a sudden you're getting attacked by a velociraptor, or you're trying to outrun a T-Rex, or something.
Yeah.
Is always happening. People are dying. People getting eaten left and right, and just you as Regina running around trying not to die.
Can I get a picture, you guys? Come here. No. Was the second one much better than the first? Would you say?
It was different. They polished it up.
Right.
Whereas the first one really, here's the best way to describe it. Where the first Dino Crisis was really heavy in puzzles. So they were like, all right, you need to go to room A to find key A, to take it to room C, and there's dinosaurs in between. So it was a lot of puzzle solving and trying to stay alive while you're doing it. Part 2 was more of an action adventure, less so less so on the puzzle aspect, but more on the run and gun, try to stay alive. Oh, wait, I have a shotgun. It only has 2 shells left. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Try to get to someplace safe. It didn't rely so much on the puzzle aspect, which didn't take away from me. The way they did both games, the way that the games themselves are set up, it wasn't a detraction that one was heavier on one side or the other.
Right.
They were both equally amazing. And like I said, there are some of my favorites in the series. They did Dino Crisis 3, and it was for the Xbox. Did not care for it. The reason why is because they did the dinosaur thing, but they weren't real dinosaurs, and it was in space. Why? Space doesn't always make everything better.
Dinosaurs in space.
Yeah, but they weren't even real dinosaurs. They were like clones of like a DNA thing that some computer made and send it after you to kill you. It was like...
So it was the new Jurassic World.
Yes. In space.
In space.
We need to get like an echo thing on this thing. So I go, in space, 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 space.
I want to get a soundboard. If anybody listening wants to donate.
We're here.
We're here.
But yeah, Dino Crisis. I could sit and play Dino Crisis again. And it's a lot about like time traveling and things like that. And a company that's trying to make it all work and happen and try to integrate both. It's basically Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I'd like to check it out. I have played maybe 2 for like 10 minutes each, and that's it. But, I enjoy the music from it. I just can't actually play through it.
You know what I think?
Dino Crisis, I probably could. I probably could play through Dino Crisis because I love.
But it has a lot of jumping scares. So you were talking about before.
Yeah.
The load times are so long for the first one. You open up that gate, and all of a sudden a raptor's coming through at you, and you start shooting. Because the only thing that was bad about Dino Crisis was sometimes the camera angles in the game were very difficult. You weren't able to control them.
Right.
So you walked into a corridor and the camera's here. Well, if the dinosaur is over here and it's shooting stuff at you, you can't see it.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, maybe you run away a little bit. Maybe it'll come on screen so you know where you're aiming at, or run away or try to get around it somehow. Other than that, but that's such a minor flaw. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a minor flaw that it's easily overlooked.
Right.
And it doesn't take away from the game too much. So
I might have to borrow it from you and check it out.
What I noticed though is you notice how all Capcom music is instantly identifiable.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Oh yeah.
It's got that arcadey synthesized
it's all
sound
very
to
upbeat.
it. Yeah. It's Capcom.
Capcom.
Love you, Capcom.
Gonna take you for a ride. Let's move on to my number 1.
All right.
Which is amazing. You're welcome in advance. I think everybody knows this track. If they don't, they should get it and play it. This is the original Doom track. I said Doomsgate. And the good thing about the Doom games is that from what I read, they wanted to make all of them very metal sounding. They took hints from Slayer, from Metallica, from Pantera, Anthrax, and they wanted to make it a very you're just blowing stuff up the entire game. It's very fast-paced, so it's very fitting. But Doom is actually a very creepy game.
It is. Again, this is one of the cases where space actually does make the game better. Because anybody who's played Doom knows that it was built off the same engine and play style as Castle Wolfenstein. And, so did much change? No, they put it in space instead of Nazis or killing aliens. But this game was actually so much better. Or was it? What do you think?
Of the original Castle Wolfenstein, I think Doom was better.
Okay. There is no wrong answer.
No. I know. I had to think about it for a minute. The BFG, dude, you can't top that weapon.
That's true.
Literally hitting one of the demons and then just blasting open, and you just see their bones sticking out. You can't top that. Plus, the cover art alone for Doom is awesome. It's. The dude is standing against overwhelming odds, with just a single assault rifle, and there's just demons grabbing him. You're just like, yes, this is the game I want to play. When I first got it, I got it on the 3.5-inch floppy disks on my Windows 3.1 Safari laptop. I got it. My dad's like, we're going to play this game. Let's put it in and install it. And I was like, yes. I'm like 8 years old, and my dad's playing Doom with me. This is just awesome.
Meanwhile, 6 hours later and 17 floppy disks later, it finally installs.
Yes.
It finally installs. Now it's your bedtime.
Yep.
Back the next day.
Back in the day when you had, the floppy disk, you had the big instruction manuals that you could look at, and I still have all of them. Of 95% of the games that I bought that came in boxes, I still have them upstairs with the original instructions, just chilling.
Well, what I think about what is amazing about these games was that, like Castle Wolfenstein, it was so popular. As a matter of fact, this game was one of the first games to have it threatened to be pulled from shelves because of the violence factor of this game.
Yep.
And, they had an award-winning game, Wolfenstein. and they tweaked it. They didn't redo it. It wasn't completely, well, I was going to say astronomical, but it was.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same game. And it sold 100 times over better than Wolfenstein.
Right.
I mean,
I think
they didn't reinvent the wheel.
Visually, I thought it was a lot better. I thought Doom was a lot better. There was a lot more graphically to it. But I mean, it does surprise me. I mean, because the Wolfenstein. I mean, it was an awesome game. I mean,
yeah, and there's been many Wolfensteins. There's been several Dooms, but I still think the originals for both those series are the best.
Yeah. I have to disagree on that only for Wolfenstein. I think Return to Castle Wolfenstein is the best in the series. I pumped so many hours into that game. And then Enemy Territory, the online component for it, just get on my level in that game. I mean, I was just wrecking face for hours. It was awesome, dude. I had so much fun playing Enemy Territory. Please make a modern-day version of that. I would love it. I would love it.
He's beaming over here, ladies and gentlemen. like he is so excited right now.
Dude, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, in my opinion, is a flawless FPS. That game is amazing in so many ways. I love it. And I know we're supposed to be talking about Doom, but you got me talking on Wolfenstein.
He's trying so hard not to stand up and start pacing. He's so excited.
No, it's true. I'm like this chair's gonna creak if I stand up. I'm trying not to. I just want to hop around and just throw my hands in the air. Like I just don't care. I'm actually throwing my hands up like people are actually looking at me.
Yeah. Well, what game I do care about. This is my number one, and it's from Eternal Darkness.
Holla at you, boy.
Corpses, lumbering, rotting cadavers. They are amongst us.
I never want to hear that opening again.
And this is where I get giddy. This game was for the GameCube. And, this game was so much fun, and it was so original. Back before in the podcast, I made reference to a Sanity Meter. This was so intuitive and inventive that Nintendo actually trademarked the Sanity Meter so other games couldn't use it.
Really?
Yes. It is amazing.
That's
what's
cool.
great was the story was about this girl whose ancestors had followed this line, through time, and you play for her in the very beginning through a couple cutscenes, and at the very end, the rest of the game is you're playing as her different ancestors throughout time.
Huh.
And the more she uncovers about it, you have a sanity meter. The more, and this is where it gets awesome. Okay, so the more that she discovers about her past and the more damage you take, your sanity meter decreases. The lower it goes, things start happening to you that you aren't sure if it's real or not.
Wow.
So what do I mean by that? I mean, like, you walk into a room and suddenly you start walking into the floor and you disappear and the game looks like it freezes on you. But then all of a sudden it flashes and you're back at the door like you never opened it.
Wow.
And you're like, what? Or it has the volume on your TV will go up really loud and then go down to nothing, and you can see it like moving up on your screen, like the volume. That's when you start really losing it. Like so other things is you'll be walking down the hallway and the walls will start to bleed. Or for all those who've like been on the Haunted Mansion, it has like the little busts of people sitting on a end table. And as you walk by, they'll slowly watch you as you go by. And then she'll make a comment like, is this really happening? And it's kind of like out of left field, kind of like, is this really, like, you're in her head hearing this.
Yeah.
And they do all kinds of, like, you'll walk into a room and it's full of monsters. Like, and then just when you touch them, they disappear, but you don't know if they're real or not. And yeah, it's such a great game. But then as you go through and you put her story together, it all comes out, and then you fight this main guy who's the cause of all this stuff, because you find out the house you live in, it's pretty much a museum, a mansion,
right,
that you live in, is actually built on top of the city, and all this stuff is stemming from that.
Wow.
So it's kind of like the whole place is haunted, and yeah, they actually made a sequel to it. It was for a handheld device, and then Nintendo toyed with the idea of making a true sequel to the game, and to the point where they actually bought the rights to the name Eternal Darkness for like 4 or 5 years, and they kept renewing it, and then just decided, nah, we're not going to make one.
That must upset
But
you.
it's like, because it was so awesome at the time. It's like nothing else did something like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, they patented that thought.
Yeah.
I was like, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
And the fact that, as you do better in fights, like say you're fighting something and you land a critical hit, your Sanity Meter will start coming back. So you don't want it, because if it goes too low, you're considered insane. And where you can still play, if it runs out, you actually take damage, and you can die if you take enough damage from your Sanity Meter being gone. So, you don't want to. And what's really cool, too, is depending on how you're playing is what things happen to you on screen. One of the things, you can actually get a blue screen of death.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like, and you're like, what just happened? And it's not like a flicker. It stays like that for a minute. So if you don't know something like that's going to happen, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to go over and reset your computer, the GameCube.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you've just lost whatever it is you're doing. Drives you mad. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, man.
That sounds like it was way before its time. Like everything they were trying to throw into that game. And
yeah, it is actually a really hard GameCube game to get a hold of, because it was so good and they've only made the one. It's not like, I can go pick this up and it's something like it. There isn't anything because of the patent. Yeah. There is nothing out there like it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be checking it out, because just from what you described, I would absolutely lose my mind.
Yeah, because you don't know if it's really happening or not.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is cool little touches. And I just really scratched the surface on some of the things the game messes with you.
Right, right.
And it's just so good. So good.
He's literally crying right now.
I know. I'm so happy.
That's
I'd be crying harder if they actually announced they were making an Eternal Darkness 2. That for me, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, is right up there with, they need to make a Legend of Dragoon 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right up there with, this game is so deserving of a sequel.
Yeah, yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it. Come on, let's get on with it.
Because people will buy it. I'm telling you, game's amazing.
Well, send them a letter and say you'll help design it.
I will do that.
I'll do the sound effects for it.
Do you need a woman screaming? I could do those sound effects.
I can do whatever you need. Frightened man, got it covered.
Put a spider in here. I'll be back there screaming with you.
Yes.
So this, Matt, was our horror top 5.
Yes.
I think it went rather well.
I'm
glad you made it through.
Yeah, barely. I mean, I don't ever want to see a horror game for at least a month.
And the thing is, about the horror genre is that, the games are great by themselves. But as we always preach on our shows, because it's so overlooked a lot of the times, is how much the music makes the game.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I mean, and this is what we want to know. This is what we want to know. And correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, and I don't think I am. What we want to know is, to our listeners out there, if you hear a song that we play, and whether it's in our top 5 or we mention something about it, and it encourages you to go out and play that game, let us know, because that's the kind of feedback, we're really interested.
Yeah.
Did we pique your interest in going out and finding that game and playing it to be like, yes, they were right, I am never touching this thing again, or this music was amazing, and it really does. We want that kind of feedback.
And that's the cool thing, why we play just little snippets, is just that little bit can get in your head, be like, that little bit intrigued me. And then there's just a whole world out there of this game for you just to explore. And he's right. I mean, we absolutely want to hear all of that stuff. Just start a conversation. We're up to talk about anything gaming related. So show us some love on that Facebook page.
Yeah, and if you guys have anything to add to the games that we do choose, I consider us experts, but we're not experts on everything all the time.
Right.
There's a lot of games that that don't make our top 5, and it may just be because we haven't played them.
Yeah.
So let us know. Things that we're missing, things we should have. If we're wrong on something, call us out on it.
Yeah, because I actually just posted on the Facebook page. I said I was looking for new music. What are some of your favorite indie tracks? And someone put back, look up Super Meat Boy. I never played Super Meat Boy, but he's right. The music is awesome. And I actually want to kind of give the game a try. It looks like a lot of fun. So, I mean, believe me, there are so many games and so many musical tracks from these things that we have never even heard of or touched. And we want to grow along with you guys. We want to discover new stuff, and hopefully you guys are discovering new things as well. So please throw it all at us. We want to get the shindig going.
Now, before we go off the air, Matt, the game that we actually chose, I chose for our outgoing song for this podcast, is from my all-time favorite horror game. It is the scariest game I've ever played. The first time I played it, it was in the dark. The only light in the entire house came from my TV, and I had surround sound going on, and I had to turn the game off and stop playing because I was like,
pulled a me.
Nope. Fatal Frame. The game actually I'm picking is Fatal Frame 2 soundtrack, but Fatal Frame, if you haven't played the game, if you've seen the movie The Grudge, you've played Fatal Frame. Same kind of thing. It's about a girl, and all she has to see these ghosts that are around. It's all about ghosts. Is the camera obscura, so you can hear things happening. And I'll give you a spoiler, a little bit of a spoiler to give you an idea of how messed up.
I think I know what you're going to say too.
Yeah. Fatal Frame actually is. In Fatal Frame 2, you play these twin girls, and they get separated. And in one of the scenes, you're like in this old Japanese village that's deserted. It's called the Lost Village, very aptly named. So you go into this house. Okay, now keep in mind, my lights are off, surround sound's on. I go to this house and you hear, "Help me. Help me."
Nope.
And I'm like, what the hell is it? So I walk upstairs, and of course the stairs creaks, and there's no lights on in the place, very dimly lit, and you're walking, so all you have is your little flashlight, and you're walking upstairs, and the camera takes over. And as you look into this room, and this room is like, it's about 80 feet across. I mean, this is a huge room. And you see this woman who's clearly dead, and she's wrapped up in like this cellophane thing, and her neck's broke, and she's hanging on the far side of the room. And you can see her. You don't see her until you put the camera up to your face, which the cutscene does for you. So you see her, and she's like, "Help!" And you hear this mouse by your foot, and so the camera makes you look down, and then you can take control, and you see this mouse run away. But when you look back with the camera, she's right in front of the camera. And the way you hurt ghosts in this and you capture them is to take pictures with the camera. And you want to talk about screaming? Oh my, nope, click that thing out. I have not made it past that part.
Yes.
Nope.
And that's about, turn the game off, take it out, snap the disc in half, bury it in your backyard, pour holy water on top of it.
Do some kind of burial rite because you don't want that coming back.
Kill it with fire.
Absolutely. So here is our outgoing track. It is from Fatal Frame 2, and it's called The Sunken Woman.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.